First time chance to talk to you since 377 yards rushing. When you look back at it now, what do you feel?
Sickness, and hurt for the players. And I look at that situation and I say, all right, you just go through all of spend the whole bye week replaying it, going through it, and you 3:15, 3:19 in the fourth is 20-19. Right, it's 20-19. Right, don't really care about the yards given up at that point. You just know you have a chance to win the game. It's a tight game, and you got a chance, and you need to stop. And things just snowball on us. Right, we make a mistake, give up a big one, and after that we lost our composure. Right, you got to be able to keep your composure. And you got to understand in the CFL, anything's possible. You can't let that one mistake compound, because that's what can happen in that situation. It can go from 20-19, to 36 or whatever it is, in 3 minutes time. You just got to keep playing football. We play defense, right? Scoreboard shouldn't matter in that situation. And we just didn't do a good job keeping our composure.
Horvath's rushing yards and Salter's rushing yards, are they equally frustrating, or is one more frustrating than the other?
No, they're different. They're different, right? QB runs that consistently are something that, veteran players, maybe they've played long enough to experience a game like that where they just stop throwing the ball altogether, right? And the tendencies just change. The tendencies just change. And for a young player, we've been talking to them all week. This is what they're going to do in one back. This is what they're going to do in this situation, and everything changes. Having the awareness to understand, all right, I have to reset my brain and understand that we're getting a completely different game plan than what we, seen on film, right? That's something that comes with experience. The running back runs, from Horvath, those are meltdowns. Those are people, in some cases, trying too hard, trying to do too much, when what you have to do in that situation is just play assignment football. Everybody has a gap, right? It's win your gap, and that doesn't happen.
Why have things felt so different for this defense almost on a weekly basis? I mean, you go back to Ottawa. I mean, you guys bought time for the offense, kept you guys in the game. Mm-hmm. You go to Calgary the next week after that. Obviously, that wasn't typical Blue Bombers defense. And then, obviously, the game in BC, we all know what that looked like. So why have things been so different almost on a weekly basis?
So I think what happens here is you play an opponent, and that opponent attacks you differently than they attack their previous opponent, right? Because they have a different game plan. We do different things, and trying to catch up with it sometimes is a challenge when we're trying to not only execute, but execute a different system, right? We're trying to do some different things, and they're not doing what you anticipated, and knowing what to do in that situation, right? We got to keep growing. We got to keep learning, right? It's going to keep happening, right? We're going to get different game. Now we may get a different game plan because of the run situation. We got to be ready for that.
What was that first meeting like, watching that BC game?
Oh, every loss is tough, but when they're in that situation, right, it hurts a little bit different, because you recognize, right, again, you get to the point, you're watching the film, and it's, damn, this look really, we had to give up a few big plays, but it's 20-19 with 3 minutes left, right before the 3-minute warning, right, and ultimately, right, the result, right, you get to look at it and see how things came off the rails. And I think that's, for a lot of people, one, a learning experience, but it is a painful experience. But pain teaches, right? Pain teaches.
You got a few things to fix, it seems. Where do you start?
Oh, fundamentals. Always the fundamentals. Always the fundamentals. You go back to, all right, this is what we do in this situation against this personnel grouping. This is this guy's job. The guy next to him, this is his job, right? They know it, right? But doing it and executing is different than knowing it, right? And again, that's the experience factor. You're dealing with a couple situations where you're trying to, replace a guy like Reddick Kremdy, who does so much for us. Now all right, you're trying to figure out where the holes are at, and you don't always know, because that's that value that some leaders bring to the game that you can't necessarily quantify.
What about Jalen Smith? Might be an opportunity for him to get more run on defense. What have you seen from him?
Absolutely. Like Jalen Smith has to play like Jalen Smith, right? He's a dynamic athlete, strong and physical, right? Again, first real, full games, as a starter getting those reps and now being game planned, right? So that's different. It's like, oh, they're attacking maybe what I'm doing, like the way I move, and being able to recognize that's very difficult for some young players.
And dime back too. That's not an easy spot for even a vet.
No, it's not easy for any one of the more difficult positions around the league. Very easy to be wrong. Things happen very quickly there, right? Again, right, a lot of that is experience and, again, lack of composure.